What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goody Nation, coming to you with another just awesome episode of Why Relationships Matter in the Innovation Economy by Goody Nation. Super excited for this special edition. We have some really awesome guests from Lenovo and also AMD. They're going to talk a little bit about the Lenovo Evolve Small initiative. We're going to go into their origin stories. We're going to talk a little bit more about their work. And here's why it's important. At Goody Nation, we're focused on closing what we call the relationship gap. Now, this is the lack of connection between entrepreneurs and those that are influential in business. So, two of our guests here, right? What that means when an entrepreneur is not closely connected to these type of individuals, it usually means they have a harder time getting access to capital, access to customers, access to talented people to hire, access to people who can give them advice on how to grow and scale their business. And then all that leads to a higher level or higher likelihood that their company will not be successful. And we don't want that, right? We've also found that for diverse entrepreneurs and also entrepreneurs that are working in social impact space, no matter their backgrounds, they're actually more likely to experience the relationship gap at a wider clip than their counterparts, right? And that's something that we don't want. So at Goody Nation, we design everything that we do to address this problem around lack of relationships. And so this podcast that gives you a insight into the minds of business influencers to understand how they think, how they move, and also how they got to where they are today, because I guarantee you can see a little bit of yourself in their journey. So enough from me. Let's get to these awesome people, to these dope people, and get right to their story. So first, we're gonna do some introductions before we get to their stories and stuff like that. I'm gonna kick it to my co-host today, Casey, for a quick intro before we go to Gerald and Scott. Casey.
Thanks, Joey. So, hi, everybody. My name is Casey Willis, and I am a 2023 Goody Nation Storytelling Fellow. I'm also the founder of Could Be Pretty Cool, an audio production company that makes podcasts about arts and culture, and we're based in Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome. Gerald?
Yeah. Hi. So I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for Lenovo North America. I'm responsible for driving regional marketing communications and really driving that direction for the leading global technology brand in the computing space. And, as a global company, Lenovo is very dedicated to bringing smarter technology to everyone, or smarter technology for all, is something that we're really passionate about, and just excited to spend some time chopping it up with you today.
Awesome. Scott.
Yeah. So my name is Scott Strong. I'm the America's Marketing Director for AMD, otherwise known as Advanced Micro Devices. And what we do as a company is develop leading technology for semiconductors, specifically microchips that go into a various set of products. A lot of the wonderful products that Lenovo brings to market are powered by AMD processors. And so, our job, or my job, is to help bring a lot of the marketing programs and the go-to-market initiatives that the company is bringing forward to life in the region. So one of the nice things about working in the region is, you get to actually activate a lot of the programs. You can see the work being brought to life right there in front of you. So I'm excited to be with you all today and talk more about the wonderful programs that we're working on together.
Awesome. So before we kind of get into the things that everyone's doing currently, let's go back, right? Let's go back. Let's talk about origin stories and stuff like that. And Gerald, I'd love to kick it to you. Like what's your origin story? How'd you get here? What's your background? Stuff like that.
In a rainy day in Jackson, Mississippi, a long time ago. I was born, but origin story. I guess for me, it's been not the typical path to working at a big tech company. Like I mentioned, I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi, and grew up mostly in Dallas. And, as a kid, got really into PC technology, early on when it was a lot less common to be into tech, and just developed a love for trying to figure out how computers worked. And so my path was, normal thing, went through high school, got to college, realized I couldn't afford the college that I got into. And so I actually left school after my freshman year and went to work. And that was something that really drove me from an early age. On my 15th birthday, I walked across the street and got a job at the grocery store. And I always wanted to, put the learning into action. And so I worked, and that work actually in the tech industry actually brought me to Austin. And so I've been here in Austin for over 20 years, and I've had a chance to work in a lot of different roles in technology. But what I realized really early on was that my passion and capability was not in programming or developing technology. It was really more in telling stories and creating an audience for technology. And so that led me to actually the company that Scott works for, to AMD, where I worked, unfortunately spent a good portion of that time working with Scott. I worked at AMD for 11 years and got a chance to geek out over all the technology and the great innovation that was happening there, and learn about how to create a brand. And when I started at AMD, I did not have a college degree. And when I left AMD, I actually had an MBA from the University of Texas at Dallas. And AMD allowed me a place and a space to really evolve as a leader, to learn about how things work outside of the U.S. and in other markets, and it was really great experience. But then I took a hard right. So a mentor there actually asked me a question that I couldn't escape from. She asked, in 5 years, and this is when my son was about 7 or 8, said, in 5 years, would you rather tell Jay that you were, a senior executive at AMD, or that, you moved up the ladder here? Or would you rather tell him that you went out and started this crazy business that you and your wife dreamed up, and, succeed or fail, that you went and built this business around him? And almost immediately I knew that my path was actually going to go through the entrepreneurial route. And it also speaks to what a great mentor I had, because she wasn't telling me what I wanted to hear so that I would stay. She really helped me with a life lesson. And so my wife and I actually decided to build a company, a kids media company called Tanky, really focused on gaming content for kids and creating a safe space for that content. And so for the next 5 years on, and it still going strong today, we went through the entrepreneurial journey. And that's where, again, these relationships, as I mentioned, I've known Scott for a long time, but that's where our paths crossed, actually as a recipient of a grant that allowed me to join the Goody Nation community. And so being on the other side and being a small business owner, the power of that community also changed my life. And oddly, in going through that entrepreneurial journey, I also realized that I still love technology, and I still love telling that technology story, which really brought me to today. And again, relationships. I knew some of the people that I would work with here at Lenovo, and knowing the people, knowing the wonderful opportunity, and knowing the heart of the organization wasn't just to build and sell technology, but really was to make technology accessible to everyone, and to do it in a way that really feeds into the communities that we live, work, and play in brought me to where I am today, and being able to lead a marketing organization and work with great partners like AMD and like Goody Nation to do some good work and make some cool tech and really allow, hopefully a lot more people to thrive.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Right. And that question your mentor posed, right, is so profound. So profound. Yeah. And I love how it's played out. I'm sure you're proud, right? Quick follow-up question. I mean, do you tell the story to family and kids and stuff like that, or do they understand?
What part of the story?
Or to be
the question?
The question and how that spurred, like that was the catalyst for everything.
Yeah, I tell everybody because it was such a moment of clarity. It's like and just Scott knows this. He has kids. I remember the first time that I held my son. Like, you can't describe, like, my life changed immediately, in that moment. And this one, it's like, it's one thing to build a career for yourself, but when you have to answer to your kid as to, why you did what you did, and you realize in that moment that, like, my son doesn't care what my title is. He doesn't care what, stock options. He doesn't care about that stuff. And it was, I tell everybody, Joey, because we can get to it later, but I can tell you more stories about how my son actually coached me in the entrepreneurial process. So I'm a big believer that we need to listen more to people that haven't been jaded by spending, 30, 40, 50 years on the planet. So
I feel you. That's a wonderful gift to give your son. And then, we'd love to dig in if we have some time on that. Scott, I want to kick it over to you, man. Like, for you, what's your origin story?
Yeah. So, kind of a little bit similar to Gerald, and kind of moved around a lot of different places. Kind of, early on in my start, I actually grew up on the West Coast and lived in a few different places on the West Coast across California and Oregon, but kind of always bounced back and forth between the West Coast and Texas. And ultimately settled in the Austin, Texas area just after high school. And so when I settled here in Austin, I was going to college, and I was putting myself through college, and I saved up my money, and it was I needed to get a laptop, and I bought a laptop, and it happened to be an AMD based laptop, and I was like, that's an interesting company. I want to learn a little bit more about the products. I always liked tech. I always liked gaming and all those different aspects of it, and just the different things that can do for you. And made my way through college. That notebook was very important. Helped me get me through a lot of the presentations and reports and all the different things you have to do when you're making your way through that journey. And then a few years later, I as I graduated college, I was working in a couple of different industries. I worked in real estate. I worked in software, and always in marketing. Always responsible for building go-to-market programs and bringing things to life, so to speak. It's one of the reasons why one of the passions I had about getting into marketing in the first place was, it's an area it's a career opportunity you have where you can do. Everybody needs it. Everybody needs to figure out how they want to reach their audience, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're working in a Fortune 500 company, whether you're a small, medium business. You're looking for how you can reach the people that ultimately want to use the experiences that you create. And I had a personal passion. I like gaming, and I always thought, if I ever took what I'm doing in my career into an industry or an ability to wrap my arms around something that I personally enjoy, I really think that things could go to another level. And then I had the opportunity to come work for AMD. And it was funny because there was a couple different positions that were open. I've been with AMD for about 12 years. One was in our commercial space, one was in our DIY gaming space, one was in our consumer space. And I didn't know which position I was interviewing for. So I thought, because my background was more in commercial, that's where I would fold into. I'd fold into one of the commercial positions. And I didn't. I actually ended up in our DIY area of the company, which is where we build and or design, technology for graphics and for computing that is used primarily in the gaming space. And I was like, oh, wow, now I get the opportunity. I can pull something together that I have a personal, passion for into my professional career. That led me to be able to work very closely with Gerald for several years, doing, roles in go-to-market in regional marketing during his time at AMD, and then opened up, more opportunities as the years went on. So then I got to take that, those types of practices and initiatives, and now I apply it in our commercial business, our consumer business. Just with the breadth of products that we offer here, there's really something to get you excited every step of the way. So, that was kind of my personal journey as far as where I started, what my interests were, what ultimately has brought me to where I am in my professional career. But then looking outside of that, when it comes into entrepreneurship, it's something that's a very big passion point within my family. My aunt actually started a staffing company in the Texas area, and it was a all women-owned business. And it was actually, she started it out literally from the ground up, where she was, outsourcing herself and her business partner. They were outsourcing themselves to do temp work in the greater Houston area. And then she built that, completely up to a multifaceted business that supported multiple industries in the Texas area and Houston specifically. Grew the business, brought in a great number of employees, and that company is thriving today. And just seeing how she did that with just an idea she had, and brought that through, the full journey of how she brought that to a major staffing organization in Texas, was really inspiring. So just seeing how that can be done was just, the personal passion that you have, and then bring that all the way forward. That was always a very inspiring, just personal exposure that I had to entrepreneurship. And so looking at how that can be done, applying those into, what we can do, at the corporate level, so to speak, taking those same types of passions, desires to build better programs, products, and partnerships. That's what's very exciting, and some of the things that, I like to reflect on for where we are today.
No, I love it. I love it. Inspiration. Just think about the inspiration that comes when from family members and stuff like that. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily hit you at the moment. I mean, sometimes it does, right? But then sometimes it hits you a little bit later on. And I love how, for both of you all, it's kind of baked into, your work previously, but also, currently and stuff like that. So let's zoom into today, right? We went to the past. Let's go to the present. Gerald, I want to kick it to you to talk a little bit more about the Evolve Small, initiative. How did it get started? Where you're today? Kind of anything else you want to add about it?
Yeah. So Evolve Small is a really special program to me, just personally, because the focus of the program is really to provide mentorship, aid, and community to small businesses. And small businesses are so critical to the fabric of our country, to all the communities that they serve. And so what Lenovo saw, especially coming out of the pandemic, and really during the pandemic, was the hardships that small businesses have faced, and the challenges that they had shifting their business to be more digital, really changing on the fly the way that they operated, the way that they served their communities. And when you look at the research that was conducted by SCORE, which is a nationwide network of mentors for small businesses, they found that not only were minority businesses and women-owned businesses positioned in industries that were heavily impacted by the pandemic, but that they also had less access to and more difficult in getting things like federal loans. And so Black and Hispanic business owners are a lot more likely to apply, but far less likely to receive funds. And so recognizing that there was this gap, and recognizing the pivotal role that businesses play in the health of their local communities, the team at Lenovo started thinking, started to try to figure out how can we help? What is it that we can do to help to bridge those gaps? And that was really the genesis of the idea around Evolve Small. And the team has worked really hard to, initially look at, how do we help small businesses come out of the pandemic and thrive? And that was really the focus last year of the program as they were making that pivot. And we know that technology plays a really big role in being able to adapt and continue to not just come back, but to grow. And so that's where the program started. And being able to work with partners like Microsoft, like AMD, and it also, by us working with partners, it gave those small businesses access to those incredible, companies as well, which amplified the impact that we could have. And what's, changed over time, and really with like this year's iteration of Evolve Small, is now we're less focused on just coming back from the pandemic, but really focused on how do we help these businesses reach people and really convince them to shop local and to really, shop and buy in the communities that these small businesses serve. And so that's been great. I feel like everything is taken to a new level. We partnered with Goody Nation, and so excited about bringing that element of community and, almost kinship between the businesses is really important. We partnered with Queen Latifah to be an ambassador for us, and she's allowed her image and likeness to be used by small businesses. So the same person that was the face of the US Open can now be the face of your favorite coffee shop or barber shop in your neighborhood. And so we really want to be able to connect those opportunities, and we want to use what we have to give related to technology to help businesses find new heights and new ways to engage more customers throughout the US and Canada.
It's amazing how it seems like technology enablement and kinship and community are on completely opposite sides of the spectrum, but just hearing how closely interrelated they actually are and how necessary they both are in helping small business owners. It's something that I admittedly have never really thought about in that way, but it's very cool to hear.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing point there. Amazing point there, Casey. I mean, Gerald, I'll loop back in a second in terms of our relationship, how we met and stuff like that, and that kind of the lineage and stuff. I'm gonna, after Scott, I'm gonna come back and ask you around your reaction to seeing that video. But Scott, I mean, I want to talk a little bit to you about, for AMD, why get involved, right? What was the thought process there? How do you see it playing out? Kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I think there's a word here that's come up a couple of times that really hits, and that's the enablement. So, from a company standpoint, what we do, we build products, but we design really an ability for companies to enable new experiences. So, if you are going to get a laptop or a desktop, it's going to be powered by a microchip. AMD powers that platform. That's the enablement side. So when we look at the programs and why this is inspiring, it's about enabling the community, allowing the small, medium businesses, the entrepreneurs that are looking to bring new ideas to market. They need the support. They need to be enabled to do that. And so I think it's core back to our culture on the innovation and wanting to enable experiences and help the community achieve new heights and do things that matter in the world. Really speaks to the strength of this program, why Evolve Small is important, why someone like Queen Latifah would get involved, why Gerald and his team designed a campaign specifically to help enable these opportunities. It's just a no-brainer. It just shows the strength and the value of partnering together. Really back to enablement. How do we enable new experiences, new opportunities in the world today for the people that are willing to put in the work and the energy and the passion that they have to make a difference.
No, I love it. I love it. I think from our perspective at Goody Nation, what was so interesting about this opportunity for us, and obviously this is public, but don't tell the startup founders, like the software, the tech startup folks, right? Over the last few years, 10 years, everybody wants to be a startup founder, so on and so forth. The last few years, a lot more support, especially for diverse founders in the space. So a lot more capital, cash awards, so on and so forth, which is awesome, right? But I also know that traditional small businesses, brick and mortar, CPG companies and stuff like that, it's a lot more of those entrepreneurs out there in the world, and they're actually making, they're probably making a little bit more money, really on average. The startup folks may get $1 billion valuation, but there's a lot of pre-revenue companies that even can't even get their first 6 figures. I think in this country, and I'll say probably across North America, we probably ignored the small businesses as a whole in terms of support they can get relative to their tech startup counterparts. And so at Goody Nation, we're excited to be able to lend that same type of support that many of the startup folks get to traditional small businesses and watch their journey. And we're also super excited with the opportunity to pair software startup founders with some traditional small business startup founders. All of them have high potential, and see where the where the magic happens. We can imagine a world where some of the startup founders are selling into small, medium-sized businesses, right? And so some of these recipients are now some of their customers. And then I can also see a world where we host events at some of the brick and mortars in New York, in Atlanta, in Los Angeles. There's one Verona out of LA that's doing a grand opening pretty soon, right? These are all the type of interesting opportunities when you combine SMB founders with software founders. I think some magical stuff is going to happen. And so for you, Gerald, I want to kind of get your thoughts on when you saw that compilation video. Or I'm assuming you've seen it, right?
Oh yeah.
What do you think?
Times.
what were some of your thoughts?
Oh man, it was a full circle moment for me, Joey. Right? Like I was on the other end of that, in front of the camera, going into my second interview, my follow-up interview for a grant program, and I got surprised on the line, right, that we got a grant. And I'll never forget that moment. I was in this room, and what I think that people who maybe aren't entrepreneurs or don't have that like entrepreneur in their family don't understand is that like the money is great, like the technology is great, but being seen, like really being seen by a global company is a validation that as a founder you don't even know you need, but in that moment. And so yeah, Joey, I mean, it was seeing that, remembering my experience, also remembering that the two of us were on a call to notify a second cohort of that program that they were receiving the grant. So I got to be on the talking end of setting somebody up for a blessing, right? And then to see the videos in this round for Evolve Small was really special for me, because I got to be behind the scenes, right? And I know that all 30 of the winners were helped and seen and aided by a program that our combined teams, right, Scott, have been working on. It was almost better. I've watched that video like 50 times.
I love it.
It's a minute-long video, so
yeah, exactly. I mean, so here at Goody Nation, we call that being intentional. Right? That's a legacy, and I can only imagine what's going to happen from here on out. I think, I'm going to put out a prediction. We may see the ripple effects from this 20 years down the road in some way, shape, or form.
What else is cool, if I can just add in on that, is just the variety. So, you looked across all the different businesses that were featured, it wasn't like it was one category. It was healthcare, cosmetics, food services, vitamins and supplements. I mean, just the breadth of the type of ideas and the types of things that were coming out of that whole interview process and everything was just really inspiring. It wasn't limited. That was the thing. It's not limited. Yeah. It really shows the creativity that's out there.
I love it. And Gerald, I don't know if you had another you or something else you wanted to add.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, so the Evolve Small program in all the different things that we're doing. So even today, and this is no marketing program or campaign that I've worked on has made me tear up on a regular basis. But in terms of videos, we're working with a company in the Raleigh area called 321 Coffee, who is a coffee shop, but now they're opening a roasting facility. But they staff with people that have intellectual differences and disabilities. And I just watched a video this morning that we haven't released yet, talking about our technology and their roasting facility and looking at how we apply AI to make it more efficient and to adapt to the workers and their work style as well. But this is like the 10th or 12th or 15th time that I've gotten choked up in it. And, the reaction video was one of those times too. And so I think it's a really, really special thing to be able to be a part of it. And I really appreciate Goody Nation for introducing me to a level of community and fellowship that I had not seen as a founder myself. So, yeah.
I love it. So yeah, so here we only have a few minutes left, right? This has been amazing. And we talked about being seen, questions that mentors ask and idols in the family, inspiration in the family. We talked about legacy and all kind of stuff. So, and Scott, I'll kick it to you. What are some other things you all are working on? What's next? Anything and kind of in closing, you want to add?
Yeah. So, as far as like what we're working on, I think this is just a start. We talked a little bit about, company goals and culture and things like that. But what I would just leave it with is this is a start. We think we're embarking on something that we can continue to build on. Get more interactions with the community, more support out, into the marketplace to support the entrepreneurs. And, I just want us to be, continue to partner Goody Nation, AMD, Lenovo on these types of programs that we can do together to continue to build on what we're doing for the community. To me, that's the things at the end of the day of everything. What gets us excited to get up every day is to bring great products, programs, and partnerships together to benefit, the greater good of the community.
Well stated. Perfectly stated. Gerald, anything to close on us out?
Yeah, I mean, I think what is special about programs like this is sometimes there can be a divide between bigger companies and smaller companies, between tech companies and brick and mortar companies. And that even thought is very different from where Lenovo's vision is. Our vision is to provide smarter technology for all. And that's not a slogan. It drives us. It drives what we do. And the great thing about the for all statement means that, more partners can get involved in the program. And that's what we're looking at is how do we expand to more partners and drive more value also to smaller businesses. We're doing things with mental health that we're really excited about for some of the participants in the program. And through Evolve Small, we can lend our expertise, we can provide technology, and we can also bring on more partners to continue the program. So it's been really nice to be able to provide the $10,000 grant and mentorship from Goody Nation. And Lenovo's also providing complimentary laptops to all the participants in the program. But there's so much more we can do. And like Scott said, this is just a start. But I can't wait till we take this to the next level and the level beyond that. And I really appreciate you creating a space to help us extend this lesson and this mission that we're all on together.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Cool. Okay. So here's the thing. I said, we have a treat. I think you can agree that you got a treat today, right, folks? So here's the thing. I'm gonna ask you all to do a few things. One, go out and purchase some Lenovo and AMD products, or do business with them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just gonna throw that out there. They didn't ask me to say that. I'm gonna go ahead and do it. But seriously though, for the 30 award winners, right? I think there's a few things that you all could do. You can go to our website, go to our page on the program Intentionally Good, and support those recipients, right? You can also go to the initiative that says Lenovo Evolve Small to learn more about those 30 award winners, more about their companies, about them as founders, as people, where they're located, their websites, and things of that nature. And so from that, the easiest thing to do, quite honestly, is to make a purchase in some way, shape, or form of them. Either you walk into one of their locations if you're in one of their cities, or you're visiting, or you can order online on their stores. But if not, simply share the word about the awesome work that they are doing with your friends. But this has been an amazing episode. And this episode, again, proves why relationships matter in business. You can see the legacy of the impact there. I think we'll continue to see it for years to come. So once again, Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goody Nation, with another amazing episode of Why Relationships Matter in the Innovation Economy with our special friends from Lenovo and AMD. See you next episode, y'all. Stay magnetic and outwork yesterday. Peace out.